Is this your secret to staying warm?
No,
No, it isn't.
I have no secrets. I'm mad. I have to go to work. I have to earn a living. I'd rather have a private income and get laid well and often.
Say, make that ass clap. Make that ass. Make that ass clap.
All right, that's enough for that. What's happening, monkeys? Welcome back. This is Royce J of Royce Media coming at you guys with another live stream. How y'all doing today? Yeah, happy hump day. Check it out. Yeah. Thursday is almost here. The weekend is almost here. And Thursday is usually about the time that most people start having fun. That's usually when they kick it off. I know you all are pretty much in that same boat. Yeah. Yeah. Some of you people who are in the Midwest and the Northeast, I know it's pretty cold up there. Uh, I guess a couple of days ago, out east, in the Northeast, they got snowed in pretty bad. So you know, hey, it sucks to be y'all. Yeah, I kid, I kid. Anyway, what's going on? How y'all doing out there, man? Y'all good? 10 toes down. Hey, that's the only thing that matter, man. Cause every day is a new day to get it right. Yes, sir. Every day is a new day to get it right. Yeah. You know, yesterday may not have been your best, but you got a chance to make up for it today. And that's what we do. We try to make each we try to make the present better than the past and to build for the future. And that's pretty much how we got to live. So, what's going on in the news today? Is there anything you all would like to talk about? Is there anything you all feel like we should babble about on the show today? Earlier today, I was on the Bernard Riley show, and we talked about an incident with the passport bros over, well, some alleged passport bros. I just call them sex pats or blex pats. But this was a situation that happened in Colombia where there was a disagreement about the cost of a sexual encounter. And there was some video recorded. There was some disturbance in a hotel that occurred. And it was basically not a good look for the guys involved. It was like four guys, one female. And I've told you all how I feel about that. That is always a path to trouble. you know, that is always that's an accusation of a crime waiting to happen. You know, you take chances when you wind up in situations like that. So I I have my thoughts about that, but also I have my thoughts about these guys being called passport bros. Uh, from my understanding of what a passport bro is and what happened in this situation, I had a few disagreements, and I'll explain why. As you all know, although I am not a passport bro per se, I am passport bro adjacent in that I've traveled a lot. I travel out of the country, out of the U.S. a few times a year, be it for vacations, to see family members. Back when I was in the military, I would travel for obviously work, so forth and so on. And uh, what I understand about what passport bros are, although sex and meeting women is on the table. It's not the main focal point. The main focal point is to get out, um, see other places, learn about the cultures, look for economic opportunities, um, so forth and so on. There is a network based in that, um, and meeting women and sexual encounters are included, but that's not the main focus. That's my understanding of what a passport bro is, as opposed to sex pats and blex pats, which their main focus is sexual encounters. Now, I have no issue with either. As an adult, you do what you want to do. Just understand what comes with it. You know. That being said, I do feel that there is a difference, and you know, knowing people on both sides, I do recognize that there is a difference, and unlike um, it was insinuated on the Bernard Riley show from some people in the audience. Blexpat is not something I came up with. It's a word that's been used for years, and it's just simply a black sex pack. You know, so that's all it is. If you guys would like, uh, we could probably take a look at that video of that incident in Colombia. But in order to do that, I need you all when you come in to hit the like button and announce yourselves. Let me know who's here. I really would love it if you guys would announce where you're watching from because, as I always mention, I like to know where my audience is, where they're watching from, so I can have an idea of, you know, who I'm talking to. Just do me that courtesy. I would greatly appreciate it. So anyway, like I said, we can take a look at that and break it down, and I'll give my opinion on it. And some of you all can give your opinion in the chat if that's what you would like to do. We can take a look at that. Uh, what else can we take a look at? There's a lot going on, and I right now, because I'm trying to grow a channel, I don't want to narrow down the messages necessarily. What I would like to do is I kind of like to take the take the show wherever the conversation takes me, and that's why I like the audience participation, because I think it in a lot of ways it makes the show interesting. As long as it's stuff that I can talk about on YouTube, there's some things that, there are a few things that are probably best left off of YouTube, or stuff that I wouldn't feel comfortable talking about, and if stuff like that comes up, I will say so. So anyway, so let's talk about let's get a little more into this travel thing, uh, because I think there's quite a few issues with traveling with black men traveling, um, as opposed to other people. It seems that there is a concerted effort to shame black American men from traveling and experiencing life on their own terms and within what's legal in that country by uh, black social media. And really, it's sometimes it's to the point to where you have people taking the discussion and the objections from social media, trying to take it to the halls of Congress. You know, this Tiffany Nicole Foster or whatever her name is, uh, she has made the suggestion that there should be some legislation to sanction passport bros for bringing women back to the U.S., which I don't know a whole lot of passport bros that do that in the first place, but just for her to have the audacity to suggest that there should be legislation penalizing uh, men for bringing women back to the United States. She's suggesting something that, number one, already exists. If you abuse someone that you bring from another country, there's already legislation like that exists. Uh, uh, especially when it comes to foreign women. First foremost. what she was really trying to do, she was really trying to gaslight, number one, a female and a female sympathetic audience to give additional scrutiny to uh, black men who seek uh, spouses outside of both the black community in the U.S. That's all it was she was doing. Number two, what she's trying to do is she's trying to create a rally call that would ultimately result in increased uh, lawfare against Black American men who uh, do things that she doesn't agree with. So, um, and we know this to be true because we know what she did in the situation dealing with the content creator Mumia Obsidian Ali. She likes to play policy fair and lawfare, and this is it's not surprising. That's kind of that comes from a rather old playbook. So her doing that it's not surprising at all. The thing that should be of concern is that number one, she has a voice. She reaches a lot of people who are sympathetic to what she says. She is credentialed through Harvard, which to most people who don't know enough, that's a big deal to them. So what happens in situations like that? They'll give more weight to what she says, and they'll give more weight to the fact that she's talking rather than scrutinizing what she says. And this is a problem with um, a lot of what happens, and this is why we see a lot of the do you have a degree or where did you go to school? Where'd you get your degree from? You know, this is where a lot of that comes from, and this is used as a way to discredit objections or discredit uh, to augment the person using that tactic to augment their attack or objection against what's being said from the other person. And this is she all she did was she uses that as a way to insulate herself from criticism as well. So we have that. um and then with her being a dark skinned black woman, she can hide behind the whole colorism featureism thing, um even though it's really in my opinion it's not real in the way that women who um weaponize this, who use these talking points. I don't see it as real because thing is that number one, these women are either in relationships or have been in relationships or have turned down offers to be in relationships with men or even other women who saw them as suitable for being in a relationship with. And the thing about it is, according to the norms in the West, which is the United States and Central Europe, things like that, you can only be with one person at a time. So why are you worried about being attractive to other people? Because it really comes down to attraction, and it really comes down to them not being in preference of the people that they want to be in relationships with. That's really what it comes down to. You can't say it's a Hollywood um, representation thing because I can name five dark skinned uh, African and African American uh, actresses that they seem to get all the roles. Not only that, and you notice I didn't say Black Americans because they seem to have a thing, and there's a difference. They seem to have a thing where you know they like swapping Black American for African American or African when number one they are not the same people, and Black Americans tend to look different than African Americans and Africans. Lots of times the very different look, very different cultures, so forth, so on. Um, their bottom line is that they're different people, but you look at what's going on in Hollywood and stuff. The majority of the actresses are not only are they dark skinned women, um, a lot of them are overweight women. So there's there's no lack of representation there, especially if you compare their representation in Hollywood with the numerical statistics in the United States. It's pretty much on par, you know. And right now, Hollywood has this thing where it loves swapping out characters that may have been previously created of non-black races, swapping them with African American or African women. So there's no lack of representation there. There's no lack of representation in news media. There's no lack of representation in academics. There's no lack of representation in politics. I fail to see where there's lack of representation of women who match the 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 features and the color that women like Kimberly Nicole Foster complain that aren't getting these opportunities. I don't see that matching up with reality. So it's I think it's just at this point it's just a gaslight tactic, and it's really a complaint about them not being the preference of the men that they want to be in relationships with. You know, so you have that there, and it's all a part of the whole kit and agenda that she pushes, um, that includes objections to what the passport bros are and what they do, or even black expats, even black sex pats, and that's the thing, I asked the question. I like to ask the question: if these are men that you don't want, these are men that you don't like, you don't want. Why is it important that you keep an eye on these men that you don't want anything to do with, other than to try to oppress and to restrict their movement and restrict their choices? What's the purpose? You know, and so you have that there. Um, you definitely have the objection of choice of Black American men to do what it is they want to do, with their um, be it with their money, their sexual activity, even their vote. Um, you know, there's this there's this culture of mommying and telling these men what they can and can't do, telling grown men what they can and can't do. And far too often, what we see is that too many black women from all walks are really comfortable doing this. It's almost unconscious that they just think that this is what they're supposed to do. And this is a problem because these are the same women that'll tell you my body, my choice, and I do what I want to do and who's gonna check me, boo. All of this crazy stuff like that. So this is, it's funny. They have all these sayings asserting their sovereignty and independence, but these are the same women who believe in all forms of. They're basically believe in a type of socialism in all the things pertaining to what we call the Black American man. So what are you guys' thoughts about that? What are you guys' thoughts about that? So I think that I think it needs to be called out more often. Definitely that. I definitely think it needs to be called out more often. I definitely think that examples of the disingenuousness, the disingenuous, the disingenuousness of women and even men who hold these objections needs to be put on Front Street. These people need to be put on Front Street and exposed for the hypocrisy. Now, would I say they should be removed from social media or anything like that? No, no. I believe in freedom of speech, but at the same time, I also believe that um, the freedom to dissent and object. I believe in that as well. And I believe that solid arguments should be uh, put to whatever their agendas or statements are, and that, you know, when they get out of line, examples of, uh, the error in their positions should be made. So you have that. That's how I see it. That's how I see it. So you but getting back to the passport bro thing, I think what has happened with the term passport bro, it's pretty much a blanket term, and because it's um salacious and it sparks several different reactions and emotions. I think it's liberally used to elicit those responses. You know, some people look at passport bros as like, yeah, that's the solution. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Then some people look at passport bro, the term passport bro, as something to be maligned, or that's a part of the problem. You know, and then you have it's almost as if there's not there's not a really a middle ground. Well, hey, passport bros is it's not for everybody, but it's cool. And there's not clear lines to delineate what is a passport bro and what isn't. Anybody can anybody can be a passport bro, or anybody can be labeled as a passport bro, whether they are or not. Um, I think the only thing that really has any semblance of delineation to the general public is that the passport bro uh, moniker only applies to Black American men because of the term bro, which signifies brother or black person. So black man. So you have that there with that. That being said, there are tenants, shout out to King Sigma, who really came up with the term. Um, I I think more so he made the term, he solidified the term in social media there was kind of a it was kind of used prior to him before social media, but I think he was the one that really made it stick and go home. It's kind of like the thing with Tommy Sotomayor and hair hats. We were saying hair hats uh, back in the late '80s and the '90s, but Tommy made it a social media thing, and I think that's more or less what happened with King Sigma. But shout out to King Sigma, and he also had tenants with it. He was perceptive and insightful enough to kind of to define it and lay out what would become tenants to Passport Bros. And so the things I mentioned earlier were a part of what defines Passport Bros and what consists of the tenants. And sex and relationship was in there, but it was not. It was at the bottom rather than at the top. You know, and that makes the difference between uh, black sex pats or black spats and stuff. Which that term was really that came about from actually a content creator called Bo Rakes. Shout out to Bo Rakes. He's a buddy of mine. Um, we don't talk as much as we used to, but we still talk from time to time. And Bo Rakes is the content creator that really came up with that. And he first made his appearance, I want to say, on the O'Shea Jackson show. Shout out to O'Shea. Shout out to O'Shea for exposing uh, for bringing Bo Rakes to YouTube and having him talk about being black in travel. Bo Rakes was one of the earliest uh, of the guys that put Sosua in the Dominican Republic on the map. It was him and uh, Russell Taylor. That they were some of the earliest of the Sosua guys when right before Sosua got hot. They like I want to say maybe 2 or 3 years before Sosua really got hot and peaked. They were talking about how much they enjoyed Sosua and the Dominican Republic in general because they didn't just talk about Sosua, but Sosua was one of the places that they really enjoyed. You know, at that time, um, I have traveled to the Dominican Republic. Actually, have a few relatives there. Sosua was not. It's an area I had been to, but it was not an area that I frequent because Sosua is basically Las Vegas. I'm not a Las Vegas. Uh, I I don't participate in the Las Vegas lifestyle. I don't participate in a lot of what goes on in Sosua, but I do know about it, and I have been there. I have been boots on ground. That being said, you know, uh, you know, uh, Las Terrenas and Samaná were places that I liked, that I preferred to be, for the reasons I preferred to be there. And like I said, I travel with my wife, so I'm not, you know, I wasn't out there traveling to meet women. Although, if I was single, I would do that. Not necessarily in those places, per se, explicitly, but yeah, I would travel to meet women if I wasn't already married, you know. But going back to what I was saying earlier, it was really Bo Rakes and Russell Taylor that put Sosua on the map. Shout out to those brothers, and they're pretty good guys, and they still make content and they talk about their travels and different things like that. But really, it was Bo Rakes that really kind of brought up. He really brought the term Blexpat to social media. You know, and so and that term has been around for a few years. So you have that now. Again, there's a difference because a Blexpat That's Blake's pet or a sex pack. They travel with 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 sex being a big part of what they do, you know, and with sex and dating, and you know, they happen to be black. That's pretty much it. Most of the people that are black expats, which a lot of black women are, black American women are the black expats. Uh, their thing is to uh, go overseas and do what they do, have their fun, and come back home, come back to the States. That's different than the passport bro thing. And I've mentioned that before. Passport bros are really looking to establish lifestyle ties, or even a full fledged lifestyle outside of the U.S. In one or more places. That's all it is. Other than that, you're really just somebody traveling, which there's nothing wrong with that. And there's nothing wrong with any of that. Um, but I think the term passport bro gets thrown around too often, and too loosely, to the point where you even have passport parrots. And I've talked about this thing with the parrots before. Parrots are basically people who they really aren't about that life, but they're sitting they're campaigning on social media, and campaigning, uh, about a lifestyle that they don't actually live. You've had people that didn't have passports talking about how they were passport bros. How you gonna be a passport bro when the number one requirement is to have a passport? How you gonna do that? You ain't passport nothing if you don't have a passport. But you got people, out there campaigning, hey, get passport, bro. And it's like you ain't passport shit, you know. And it's really like it's really an issue of passport bros is more of a lifestyle than a specific direction. And I've already talked about that, as opposed to sex pats, which I talked about, you know. And it's nothing's wrong with any of it, so long as the activities done within those lifestyles are legal. That's my only thing. Whatever you do when you go somewhere, make it legal. Extended clips, what up, bro? How you feeling, man? Peace and blessings to you, my brother. Glad to have you here, man. I appreciate you. Yeah, I appreciate you, man. It was getting kind of lonely in here. Felt like I was did quite a bit of talking to myself, but man, I'm glad to have you here, man. I don't know how much of the stream you heard thus far, but earlier I was on the Bernard Riley show, and we were talking about that situation that happened in Colombia with some guys that they bought some entertainment. They made some arrangement for some entertainment, and there was a disagreement on the price. Now these guys were called, they were labeled as passport bros, even though they never claimed to be passport bros. And they, there was nothing about him that said passport bro, you know. Extended clip says, all is well, thank you. Been grinding, King. Was MIA for a minute. I just logged on. Well, hey, man, like I said, I'm glad to have you here, bro. And hey, that money is first and foremost. That is the priority, man. And do not let me get in the way of you getting paid. Listen, I want you to get paid. I want everybody to get paid, man. If you out there grinding, you doing things legally, man, hey, get your money, man. That comes first. Your money comes first, And it's enough money out there for everybody to get some, Get what you can. Make that money. So, getting back to the that video, uh with the disagreement, it ended up turning into a physical confrontation in Colombia, and I guess the woman that was involved, she had to be physically removed, and you know, it's like I said, you know, the label of passport bro is too easily thrown around. Not everybody that travels is a passport bro, but not every woman that travels is a passport sis. And I mean, yeah, I'm guilty of using term passport Brenda, passport Keisha as well. But it is what it is, and I understand why it's so easily used and misused and thrown around. I mean, it's a hot term. It is what it is. It's a hot term. It's like WAP and generational wealth. There's a whole lot of terms that's used in social media that they're actually abused. Submission is one that's abused. Abused and misused and thrown around. We have quite a few terms, and I guess it's up to uh, both the content creators and the listeners to clarify what it is they actually mean, rather than throw terms out there willy nilly. And so, you know, ultimately, there's going to be some uh, misdefining of words and terms, and or even meanings changing, which that happens as well. And it is what it is. Um, so we have that situation. If we get a few more people in here, I might even, you know, take a gander at that video and give my commentary on it. I don't want to do it though if I don't have, you know, if I don't have a sufficient crowd, because it's like, it'll take a long time to be talking, and I'm not, you know, I want the audience, to run my mouth, and of course, even for people that I don't care if you agree or disagree. I want the people here, and I would like to actually hear I would actually like to see and read the disagreements, and talk about that stuff, because it makes for interesting conversation. If a good enough point is made, it might even move my position from where it may be, if there's an objection to how I see things, you know. So so we have that. We have the immigrant situation, where the immigrants are being uh, being implicated in more and more criminal activity in the U.S. And you know, it's not surprising to most of us. It's just a pattern of what happens when you have immigration surges. It's it all comes with the territory, but I think the difference is there was never the type of mass immigration into the U.S. that we are currently seeing, other than with Europeans. Um, as far as Central Americans and South Americans, and people from the Caribbean, and people from China, and people from Southeast Asia and stuff like that. Uh, this immigration swell is probably the largest in U.S. history, and it's we're talking about a swell, a surge that is accompanying. Woo, try to say that three times. Accompanying it's on the back end of an era of lax law enforcement due to what has happened in the recent past. Law enforcement is far more tentative than it used to be as far as dealing with criminal activity. Um, what you have now is you have a lot of people in law enforcement that they're taking their time in addressing crimes. They're far less proactive in dealing with crime, and they're doing things with a safety first approach, which you know it's protecting them from lawsuits, and protecting them from job loss and risking injury and prison time, different things like that. But the result is that you have an increase of criminal activity because with the criminal activity, much of it is reckless approaches to opportunities. You have people that know that they're going to get away ultimately with the crimes that they commit, um, and so they're taking chances, and you know those chances aren't being met with the type of energy it may take to deter or prevent those crimes. And so um, you have that you have immigrants coming in. They're seeing the lay of the land, and they're seeing that the people who are already here are not really facing stiff penalties for crime. So they say, "Oh, we can do certain stuff too," and so they're participating in burglaries and robberies and different things like that, vandalism, different crimes like that, uh, as well as things that weren't considered crimes in the places that they came from, but that have a certain level of criminality in the U.S., such as prostitution, such as issues with human trafficking, child labor, different things like that. Uh, the student clip says free fall. Facts. Yep, that's pretty much what it is. So, getting back to things that weren't considered necessarily to be crimes in the places that they came from, they're crimes here. The thing about it is that you're dealing with adults and old habits die hard. And when you're dealing with situations where you have to make a decision now in order to meet certain survival needs. Uh, you may participate in things that were legal where you came from, but that are not legal here. Prostitution being a big one. Human trafficking, which human trafficking is mostly labor. A lot of people don't realize that far more men are the victims of human trafficking than women. Um, um, women deal with sex trafficking, but it's more often children, both male and female. And then when you're talking human trafficking for purposes of like labor and stuff, it's mostly men. But this isn't covered only the women being trafficked for sex is, and quite as the thing about that is that far more women are volunteers for um, sex work than what the media will let on. You know, they get caught, then I'm a victim. Oh, they made me do it. I was, they got me busting it wide open in this room. If there was no criminal penalty for what they would be doing, you wouldn't hear all of the. Ooh, I was victimized. You wouldn't hear all of that. Because you don't hear from it in the countries that they come from. You don't hear it in the countries that they come from. So do not let these people fool you. That's all that is. So, um, and it's also, the the accusations or the allegations of being a crime victim in those situations. That's just a tactic to get out of criminal penalty. You know, oh, I was made to do this. I was made to bust it wide open, and yeah, okay, as BS. You know, a lot of it is BS. I'm gonna tell you, I, you know, some of you all who are my A1 day ones, you know what line of work I was in. Um, what I don't talk about a lot is that because I am a what's called a polyglot. I speak several um, languages other than English fluently. Uh, I worked a lot back in the day with ICE and Homeland Security, and I would do translations on different, you know, raid operations, and you know, um, so I would know a lot of what really goes on, what those conversations are like, and um, you know, through the research and stuff, you know that a lot of it, they're only victims of crimes because they are defendants of criminal charges. You know, so you you know you have that. You know, they it is a solution for a problem yet to be created. Yet to be identified. You know, so that's all that is. Um, but and that's what you know going back to the Kimberly Nicole Foster situation. She wants a solution for a problem that largely doesn't exist. And what's going to happen with that solution is that it's increased penalties for something that men, black men in particular, aren't doing. You know, so this is why uh, people like her have to be exposed. This is why people like her have to have their points dismantled in public forums so that she can't just simply say stuff without pushback, without it being shown that no, you're being ridiculous. You're being disingenuous. You are being a hypocrite. Um. So anyway, um. So what do y'all got out there? I got a few people in here. Do me a favor. Make sure you hit those like buttons. If you can, do me a favor. Announce yourself in the chat. Be like my brother, Extended Clips here. Let me know you here and let me know you're listening. I appreciate that, you know. And if you guys got something you want to talk about, I got a few more minutes. We'll talk about it. If not, I'll come back a little bit later and run my mouth. Maybe, maybe. I be saying that, man, but then I be, I get caught up with doing other stuff and going to sleep. So I be trying to, get my ass in bed and stuff. Trying to get back in shape. I've gained too much weight and I don't like how I look. So, try to get some of this weight off. So I've been hitting the gym real hard, hitting the weights again and stuff, try to get get some of that fitness back. I know I'm not gonna ever be fit like when I was 20. I say I was probably my strongest at about 34. I was a monster. Oh my God. I look at pictures when I was 34, I was a monster. Like, oh my God. You know, I was pushing 315 off my chest in my workouts. And, you know, I had probably had about maybe 6, 7% body fat. Yeah. Being a polygot is dope, bro. Yeah, man. Yeah. So I speak 5 languages. Speak Spanish. I speak Portuguese. I speak Egyptian and colloquial Arabic, and recently started doing more Portuguese. You know, so yep. But I've been on panels and stuff, and you know, I'll encounter people that speak those languages, and I'll jump into those languages, and they're like, "Oh my God," you know. And I do speak, read, and write each language, so yeah. But that that was one of the things that it put me in quite a few good positions while I was working, and it's you know it's something to talk about. Extended Cliff says we should all aspire to communicate with as many of diverse communities as possible. Facts. And I speak Extended Cliffs. He speaks some Arabic and Spanish. You'll see a lot of correlation between Arabic and Spanish, like the like um like ill, the word ill, uh, that corresponds with L, you know, um, with Spanish having masculine and feminine, so does Arabic. From a lot of words in Spanish come from Arabic words, so it's not. Once you see that, it's not hard. For a while, I was learning Hebrew, um, just never saw a reason to continue, but once you learn uh once you learn how to put the vowel sounds within the consonants, because how Arabic is written, it's really consonants, like for the word madrasa, is you know you would have to know where to put the vowels sounds at, and that comes with time. Once you learn that stuff, it's not terribly hard. Egyptian is slightly Egyptian is slightly different than the colloquial Arabic, and then with colloquial Arabic, it's going to change depending on the countries, just like Spanish. You know, the Spanish in the Dominican Republic is different than the Spanish in Puerto Rico and Cuba, is different than the Spanish in Mexico, is different than the Spanish in Argentina. Arabic is like that as well. The Iraqis have a way of speaking Spanish that is very different than the Saudis. Arabic. The Iraqis have a way of speaking Arabic that uh, Misri. Um, but the Arabic that the Iraqis speak is different than the Arabic than the Saudis speak. Egyptian is slightly different than them both. But if you speak Egyptian, everyone in the Arab world will understand you, because Egypt is what? The Hollywood of the Arab world. Extended Clip says, I lived in Egypt for 5 years. Okay, shout out to you, man. Tatakalam al Tatakalam al Musir, Tatakalam al Arabiya Musir. That's you speak Egyptian, Egyptian Arabic. Um, you know, how I started learning Egyptian was because it was explained to me, because I started learning Arabic, and then uh an Egyptian person um was like, "Why are you learning Egyptian?" I mean, no, he said, "Why are you learning Arabic when everybody understands Egyptian? If you want everybody to understand you, learn to speak Egyptian first, and then you can pick up all of the other Arabic dialects as you go." And that was, that was how I started learning Egyptian. And that guy was very helpful in me learning Egyptian. Sabawiwi. Yeah. So, and with some of the words in Egyptian, like when you learn the body parts, they're not too dissimilar. Like, Aini, Wrigley, Kunititi. different things like that. Certain words they would have in Egyptian are also words that you would learn. They're very similar to their English counterparts, like um, bus, like autobus, is il utubus in in Egyptian Arabic. You know, so yeah, man, yeah. The thing about me with Egyptian and Arabic now, since I'm not around a lot of people that speak those languages, I don't get a chance to speak them much because, um, well, like I said, I'm not around them. And what happens with that is you start losing different parts of the language because you're not using it. And language is a muscle. And this is what happens to most people when they learn languages, even like in high school, grammar school, high school, and college, is that they'll learn the basic grammar of languages, but they don't use it. In the area that I live in, we have a lot of Brazilians and a lot of Portuguese. And that's when I learned that Brazilian Portuguese and Portuguese from Europe, from Portugal, is they have their differences. It's similar, but it's different. I've already broke down the Spanish, and then Garifuna, which if you for you all that have been around here, I'm of Garifuna descent. Which is why I have family in Belize and Honduras and probably some distant relatives in St. Vincent that I don't know. So, um, but with that, there's a language that comes with that. The of the Garanagu people. And it's kind of I wouldn't say it's in it's like with the Gullahs. The Gullahs and the Geechees and the Gullahs have their own language that distinguishes them from the other people around them. So you you have that, you know. Um, but yeah, yeah. I am considered a polyglot because I can read and write in those five languages. Um, you know, uh, and even though I haven't used some of them in a while, it doesn't take much to get back into using those languages and stuff. And that's why I said a few live streams ago, maybe I'll start doing like the language things, start doing more than language stuff, just introducing small elements of the different languages and how to learn them. Obrigado. That's Portuguese right there. Obrigado. Mucho prazer. Um, Portuguese. A lot of it is similar to Spanish, but it's the Spanish of Spain, you know, which is a slightly different Spanish than the Spanish that is spoken in South and Central America and the Caribbean. It's a different Spanish. But yeah, so I might start doing that. And that's one of the things too with the passport bros. A passport bro is more likely to pick up more of the language of the places that they travel to than your blacks pats and people who are just simply passport travelers, because a passport bro is going to spend more time in those countries because of what their agenda is, which is to set up um, some kind of route stick. So um, but it is what it is. All right. So I've been on here roughly about an hour. I'm going to jump off. I'll probably come back later. I appreciate the people that came in so far, checked out the video. We'll I'm like I said, I might pick this up a little bit later, come back, double back on you guys, and run my mouth some more. But hey, I appreciate you guys being here. This is Royce J. Royce Media. If you haven't already done so, like, share, and subscribe. Getting the comment sections, hit the video on the replay, and y'all, most importantly, be safe and get money out there, man. Hey, be safe, make your money, and I'm gonna get on out of here. Peace. Hasta la próxima. All right, you take it easy, bro. Dale luego.